receivables and accounts payables, which is AP and AR. And within AP and AR, what we discussed is, what is AP?
Accounts payable.
Yeah, accounts payables. What exactly are we going to do in accounts payables?
Transactions.
Sorry?
Vendor transactions.
Vendor related transactions, right? Vendor related transactions means whenever we are receiving any vendor invoice, whenever we want to make any payment to vendor, right? So whatever transactions we do related to vendor or supplier is accounts payables. Similarly, what is accounts receivables?
Customer related transactions.
Customer related transactions. Whatever transactions we do related to customer, billing the customer, receiving the payments, these are all the transactions related to accounts receivables. Okay, and we discussed that when we are talking about AP and AR, AP is all about vendors, AR is all about customers. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to have the master data of customers and vendors. Okay, and in our last two sessions, we just concentrated on how to create the master data for customers and vendors, which means how to create customers and how to create vendors in SAP S/4HANA system. Not only SAP S/4HANA system, we also understood that in ECC, how the customers and vendors were created and what has been changed in S/4HANA when it comes to creation of customers and vendors. Okay, so just a recap of what we have done. In SAP S/4HANA, if you try to use the old transaction that we were using in SAP ECC, that is FK01, to create a supplier, system will issue the message. It will say that FK01 transaction is no more available. And if you want to create a vendor, you have to create it as a business partner. Okay, and when you're getting the screen, you need to click on this organization and press enter. System will automatically take you to transaction BP. System will by default tell you the role. Which are the 4 roles important for us? Which are the 4 important roles? 2 for vendor, 2 for supplier. So for vendor, 2 important roles are FLVN00 and FLVN01. Similarly, for customer, 2 important roles are FLCU00 and FLCU01. Okay, so we already discussed, we already created some customers and vendors in our previous sessions. What are we going to do today is we are going to use those customers, those vendors to book the transactions. Okay, master data part is done. Now we already know this is our customer, this is our vendor. Now, once we created a customer and vendor, what are we going to do on day-to-day basis? We are going to receive some invoices from the suppliers. Okay, let's say supplier has provided us some services, or maybe they provided us some material, and now they are sending us the invoice. Okay, so whenever your vendor is sending you the invoice, you need to book it into the SAP system, and definitely based on whatever is the payment term. So let's say I'm booking the invoice today and I want to make the payment after 15 days. So after 15 days, I will be booking the payment for that particular supplier in SAP system. Okay, so what we will do today is we'll start with booking vendor invoice. Okay, number 2, we will make payments to vendors. Okay, same way in AR, we will book customer invoices. Okay, and we will receive the payments from customers. Okay, so these are the 4 basic things that we are going to do today. So book vendor invoice, how are we going to do that in SAP? In order to book the vendor invoice, we use transaction FB60. FB60 is a transaction code which will allow us to book the invoice for vendor. Okay, same way for customer invoice, the transaction is FB70. So instead of 60, FB70 is for booking the customer invoice. In order to make the payments to the customers, we will use the transaction code called as F-53. F-53 is the transaction code which will allow us to make payments to vendors. Okay, and in order to receive the payments from the customers, we will use transaction F-28. So these are the 4 important transactions that we are going to discuss in today's session. Okay, so let's start with the first one. Okay, so what exactly is booking the vendor invoice? Let's see what are the vendors that we created. Okay, so if I want to see the vendors, what should I do? I can go to transaction BP directly. Okay, and I want to see what are the different vendors created in my company code. Okay, so what I want to do, I want to find those vendors which are created in my company code. So find the business partner by vendor number. I want to know the supplier number which are created in my company code. Here if I do F4, system will ask me which vendors I want to select. So I will say I want to select the vendor by company code, and I want to see all those vendors which are created for company code ABCI. Okay, if you press enter, system will list down all those vendors which you created in this company code. Okay, so we created 2 vendors. One is Tata and second is the test vendor that we created in our last session. Right, so these are the only 2 vendors available as of now. We only created 2 vendors, but if you are working in the live system, when you're working in the customer system, you may find that a particular company has more than 1,000, 10,000, 50,000 customers as well as vendors. Right, so you have to select the proper vendor here. You have to select the proper vendor for which you want to book the invoice. Okay, so let's say in our example, our company ABC Limited, okay, ABC India Limited is taking some services from Tata. Okay, let's take a example. We are taking the services of electricity from Tata. Okay, Tata Power Company. Tata Power Company is providing some electric services to ABC India Limited. Now, Tata has completed that service and now they sent the bill to ABC India Limited that please pay me this much amount, and the due date they are giving as 15 days. So they are giving you the time for 15 days to make the payment to this particular supplier. Okay, so how are you going to do that? So in order to book the invoice, I told you which transaction code to use. We will use transaction FB60. So I will go to transaction FB60 directly. This is one way. If you already know the transaction, you can directly go to transaction FB60. But still you are new, so you may not be able to remember the transaction. So what is the other way? Other way is you can go to SAP Easy Access in accounting, financial accounting, accounts payables, document entry, okay, and you can see invoice. Now here I'm not able to see the transaction codes. Okay, you may also facing the same issue. If I want to know the transaction code here itself, what should I do? You can go to extras, I think settings. Yeah, in the settings, click on display technical names. Okay, when you click on this indicator, system will not only show you the activity, but it will also show you the transaction code of that particular activity. Okay, so display technical names, press enter. Now again, if I go to accounting, financial accounting, accounts payables, document entry, now you can see system is not only telling you invoice, but it is also telling you which is a transaction code to book the invoice. Okay, so in this particular case, I will select FB60, double click on this, and now we are in booking the vendor invoice screen. Okay, this is a screen which will allow us to book the vendor invoice. Okay, so how are you going to book the vendor invoice? Number one, see, you are going to get the invoice from the vendor. Okay, let's take the sample. So let's say Tata has sent you the invoice in the physical form, right, as a paper invoice or maybe the mail that you received from Tata. So there would be this one. Let's say Tata Power Limited. Okay, so this would be the heading because this invoice is sent by this particular supplier. Next one would be, this is to whom, or maybe you can see customer name. So for Tata, the customer is ABC Limited, ABC India Limited. Invoice number, let's say invoice number is 10001. Invoice date, so when this invoice was created for Tata, it was created, let's say, on 31st of October 2019. Okay, then what is going to be the due date? Due date of this invoice, let's say the due date of this invoice is after 15 days. Okay, so either you will get the exact date. Okay, so maybe in this case, let's say 15/11/2019. Okay, and then there will be the table, just an example, there will be the table where there will be particulars. Okay, there would be quantity and there will be the total value, or there would be the rate column also. So let's say I'm getting service 1 from this supplier, service 2 and service 3. Okay, quantity maybe 1, 2 or whatever it is. Okay, and the supplier is charging me 10,000 for this, 15,000 for this, and another 5,000 for the third service. So the total value of this, or maybe let's remove this service 3. Okay, let's make it total. Okay, so the total is 25,000 with tax. Maybe you can add the tax column also here. This is just a sample layout. If there is tax, you will also enter the tax here. Okay, and then the last comments would be amount in words. Okay, whatever it is. So 25,000. Okay, and then maybe the last sign. So whoever has sent you the invoice, there will be the terms and conditions, whatever would be mentioned in the invoice. So this is the invoice that you got from this particular supplier. Okay, physical invoice that you want to book in the system. Okay, so first thing is you need to enter this vendor who has provided you this invoice. So how are you going to enter the vendor? There is a, if you go to FB60, that the first column itself, the first field itself is who is the vendor who has provided you this invoice. Okay, so if you click on this button, it will list all those vendors. Again, you need to go by company code. Okay, so if I want to see all those company codes which are created in company ABCI, if you press enter, it is still showing you 2 vendors because we created 2 vendors in this company. Okay, so this is for Tata. What is the invoice date? What should I enter in the invoice date? Looking at this invoice format, can you tell me what is the invoice date?
31st
2019.
31st October. Okay, same thing, I have to enter it here. So my invoice date would be 31st October 2019. Now, the next column is invoice number, where I can enter the invoice number. Am I able to see the invoice number column here? Is there invoice number column available here?
Reference.
Normally, we use reference column to book invoice number. Okay, so reference column is normally used to book or to note down the invoice number. Okay, so this is our invoice number. Now, what is the posting date? If you remember, we also had a discussion earlier. There are three important dates. Do you remember in general ledger accounting, when we posted the accounting document, there were 3 important dates. If you don't remember, let me take you to that particular thing. FB50. If you remember, we discussed FB50 to book the normal GL document. So there is a document date, there is a posting date, and then once the document is posted, the third date which is automatically posted is entry date. Okay, so there are three important dates in any accounting transaction. So document date is same as invoice date. When you use vendor invoice, system will not ask you document date, but document date and invoice date is one and the same thing. So invoice date is when the invoice was created. Okay, so in this particular case, vendor will send you the invoice, and in the invoice date will be written. Okay, so that is exactly what we have written here in the invoice date. Posting date is when you want to book this invoice in the SAP system. Okay, so when you want the system to update the accounts. So if I'm entering 2nd of November 2019, if you want to generate the report before this date, this invoice will not come. Okay, even if the invoice date of this invoice is 31st of October, but we are telling the system that in SAP system, this invoice will be only available after 2nd of November or starting from 2nd of November 2019. Okay, I'll show you. Once I book this invoice, if I show you any report which is before 2nd of November, this invoice will not come at all. This invoice will come only after 2nd of November because we are affecting the accounts. We are adding this invoice in the books of accounts on this particular date. Okay, so this will be only available in accounts after or on this particular date.
Can I ask you a question, Vikram?
Yes, go ahead.
The thing is, like, posting dates, so it could be a forward date within the month, right?
See, it can be, but only thing is the period should be open.
Yes, so it could be like, posting date could be just the last day of the month. I could just put it static.
No. If you do the posting date as the last of the month, like why do you want to keep it static first of all? The entire month is open for you, right? So normally, if you go to most of the companies, there is a rule that posting date should be same date on which the document is being entered. Currently, we are in the 2nd of November, so it should be the same as the date on which you are actually posting the invoice. See, what will happen if you keep 31st is whenever you are doing the reporting for 2nd of November or 3rd of November, this document will not appear in your reporting at all. So you have to be dependent on the month end reporting. Okay, so whenever you are doing the reporting, you have to carry out only in the month end, which is wrong.
Yes. No, I get your practical thing, but what I was saying, like, in finance, there's like a soft close date. So let's say it's a week before the actual month end closing starts. So it could be the 3rd day or whatever. You just put that for everything. And any dates that after that, what happens are generally adjustments after the soft close before the hard close is done. So I'm just saying, like, it is doable. That's all I wanted to know.
Definitely, it is doable. So based on the organization requirement, if they want to keep this date static, that is definitely possible. But again, you need to inform the concerned stakeholders that whenever you are doing the reporting, don't do any reporting before that date. You have to consider only that particular date. Otherwise, your reports will not show you this particular results.
Right, that's correct. Thank you.
Okay, so we entered the invoice date, we entered the vendor, we entered the invoice number also. What is next? Next is the amount. Okay, what is the total amount of this invoice? 25,000. Okay, so we need to book this 25,000 here. We need to enter the 25,000, the overall amount of the invoice at the header. So the total invoice amount is 25,000. Okay, now after this, there are two services that we are getting from this particular supplier. Now, for us, these two services can be same. Okay, so let's say both are related to electricity. Okay, or maybe one is related to electricity, second is related to rent. Right, so just for example, I'm writing this. Number one is we are getting the electricity from Tata. And second, just for example's sake, this is we are getting the rent, or we are actually utilizing their premises and we need to pay the rent to Tata, right? So Tata is charging us two things, electricity and rent, and both of these are expenses for us. So what we can do is we have to book these two services separately. We have to book two lines here. Number one would be, let's see if we have the electricity expense created as the GL account. If not, we have to create. So as of now, we only have one kind of expense, travel expense. Okay, what we need to do is, based on what services we are getting from vendors, we have to keep on adding the different kind of GL accounts. Okay, so in this particular example, if I want to book this, then I have to create two more GL accounts, one for electricity, second for rent. Or I can just assume that both of the services belongs to travel. Okay, so better to create two new GLs, one for electricity expense and second for rent expense. So I'll go to transaction FS00 to create a new GL account. I will first change the company code. I'll make sure that this is for our company code, that is ABCI. Now within ABCI, there are different categories. I will go into the expenses. So expenses, I can see travel expense. I will just copy this and take the next number. So 4002 in my case. Okay, so if I want to book these expenses in controlling, then I will make sure that this is primary cost. Okay, because whenever I'm going to book the electricity expenses, I need to tell the system very clearly that this electricity expenses belongs to this particular cost center. Right, so I'll use primary cost or revenue, and here I will change from travel expense to electricity expense. I'll keep this blank. System will automatically take the about description. Okay, so just save it. Same way, I need one more, so I will copy. The next number is 4003. Okay, this one is for rent. Okay, and save it. So now we have two additional GL accounts. If I go to vendor invoice again, if I do F4, system will show me the updated list. Okay, so you can see electricity and you can also see rent. So electricity charges, next one is rent charges. So how much is electricity and how much is rent? Again, just go to the invoice, you will get the bifurcation. So rent is electricity is 10,000 and rent is 15,000. So I'll come here again and I will enter this amount, 10,000 and 15,000. Okay, now since I created this GL account as a cost element, and definitely if I press enter, system will ask me to provide the cost center. It will ask me to provide the cost object. Let's try. Let's press enter. See what error we are getting. Account 4002 requires an assignment to the CO object. This means you are posting this transaction in controlling also, and if you want to post in controlling, you need to provide a cost object. So in this particular case, we will provide the cost center. Okay, so whatever cost centers are created, let's see, we only created one as of now, which is test cost center. So in real example, this cost center can be admin, this can be HR, this can be sales. So who is the responsible department for whom we are giving this expense, for whom we are doing this expense? Okay, so for example, let's say this electricity charges and rent charges are for our sales office. Then definitely all these charges which we are booking will go to the sales department. But let's say whatever electricity and rent charges, this is actually for the production department. Okay, so at that particular point of time, we will select the cost center also as production department. So we are telling the system that this expense belongs to which department in our company. Okay, so press enter. System will also ask you cost center for the second line. So I will provide the same cost center and press enter. Okay, now everything looks good. There is no more error. This is also green. This balance will be Green only when this is 0, which means whatever you entered here is matching with this amount. Okay, let's say mistakenly I entered 24,000 here. While booking the invoice, amount I entered 24,000, and here I have mentioned the bifurcation of 25,000. So if I press enter, you can see this is red and there is a difference of 1,000. Okay, so system will not allow you to post any document if there is any balance. The balance of debit and credit must be 0. Okay, see what is happening here. Can you tell me if this is debit or credit? When you book the vendor invoice, what is the accounting entry? Whenever you book any vendor invoice, you need to make the payment to the vendor, right? So you are booking liabilities or you are booking current assets?
No, it's you're booking liabilities, current liabilities.
We are booking current liabilities, right? So current liabilities means our vendor will get credited.
Yeah.
Right? Vendor will get credit and the expenses that we are booking are going to be debited. You can see debit here by default. So at the time of vendor invoice, you are debiting the expenses and you are crediting the vendor. Right? So this balance of debit and credit must be 0. So currently what is happening? Credit is 24,000 and debit is 25,000, and that is the reason system is throwing error. So if I just make this credit also 25,000 and press enter, you can see now the balance is 0 and this has been converted to green. Okay, so this is the minimum thing that you need to enter in the vendor invoice. Also, let's see what are the other important things. We have still not entered anything on the due date. How the system will know that we need to make the payment to this particular vendor in 15 days? So there is something called as payment tab. You can see payment tab here. After the basic data, there is a payment tab. In payment tab, there is payment term. Okay. So payment term will decide when the payment needs to be done. So if I select F4, now this payment term we are not configured, right? These are the payment terms which are already pre-delivered in SAP. So whatever payment terms are already available, any company can use it. We don't need to separately create a separate payment term for our company code. If you are not happy with whatever is provided by SAP, if you think that, okay, SAP has not provided any payment term for 10 days, then definitely we can go ahead and create the payment term for us. Okay, but again, that payment term is not restricted to our company code. Any company in the system can use that new payment term also. Right? So in our example, let's say I'm going with 30 days. Okay, so I can see 30 days. If it is available on 15, I will take that also. No, okay, there is nothing available for 15 days. This is 30 days. So I'll select 30 days here. So what will happen is, I'm just assuming that vendor is providing us the payment terms of 30 days. Okay, later on, we will also see how to create a new payment term with 15 days. So now our payment due date would be 30th of November 2019. Okay, so let's again go to 002 and press enter. Just concentrate on this due date column. If I press enter, just see what happens to this due on column. Enter. So you can see payment term has been changed, okay, which is changed to 30 days. And you can see due on is 30th of November 2019. Okay, system has automatically calculated the due on column based on what payment term we entered. Right, this is the functionality of payment term. So don't worry about payment term completely. We will discuss what are this 14, what is this 30, what is this 2%. We'll talk all about this, but just understand as of now, payment term allows us to determine the due date. So in our example, we told the system that this invoice will be paid after 30 days. So system has automatically calculated the due on date. Okay, so now system knows when this invoice is due. Okay, once you have done all this information, let's see if any information is pending. So we know who is the vendor, Obviously, our company code is ABC India Limited. We entered the invoice number, we entered the invoice date, we entered the due date, we entered the two services along with its value, and now we are done with the invoice. So what we need to do is, once
What
we
about
enter
the
all
tax?
this information, tax I am not considering as of now because tax is very subjective.
Sure.
Tax
Okay.
for each country, tax is different. So if I introduce tax now, it will confuse you. So there is a separate topic that we will discuss towards the end of how
Sure.
the taxations are handled in SAP. But without looking at a particular country's requirement, we will just understand at the higher
Okay.
level how the taxes are handled.
No worries. Thanks.
Okay, so 25,000 is the invoice that we are booking. And once we enter all this information, we can click on this save button to post the invoice. Okay, so finally document was posted in company code ABCI, which means system is now aware that we need to make the payment of 25,000 to this particular vendor. Now, how will we see that? How can I see how much amount I need to pay to this particular vendor? What is the total due for this particular vendor? So you also need to know some reports. So from the AP point of view, if I want to know the vendor balances, I will use report FK10N. Okay, if you remember earlier when we discussed general ledger accounting, in order to see the account balances, we use transaction FS10N. So S is replaced with K. So whenever you want to generate the balances, F-10N would be common. For GL, it would be K. For customer, it would be D. Okay, so this is for customer 1, 2, 3. If I want to know the customer balances, then just I'll replace K with D. FD10N will give me the customer balances. Okay, similarly, if I want to know the line items, vendor line items, which means I want to see all the invoices of the vendor. Pratibha, there is some background noise. Can you mute yourself, please?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so vendor line items, there is another report called as FBL1N. FBL1N is a report which will give us all the lines, all the invoices. If I want to see for a particular vendor, I can go to this FBL1N transaction. Similarly, if I want to see all the customer line items, all the customer invoices that we booked, then I will use FBL5N. Okay, these are the two reports for vendor line item and for customer line item. So now what we need is we need to see the balance of a vendor. So for balance of vendor, I will go to transaction FK10N. So FK10N, right? Which vendor I want to see the balance for? So select your vendor. I want to see the balance for Tata. Okay, and execute it. So it will show you the monthly balance. You can see there is no carry forward because this is a completely new vendor. So in the beginning of 2019, there was no balance at all. And overall, first month, second month, third month, we have not done any transaction with this vendor. You can see that transactions are only shown in the 8th month. 8th month means what? November. Because we are following April to March. So November is our 8th month of a year, right? So you can see there is a credit of 26,000. There is a credit of 26,000 for this particular vendor. 25,000 is what we booked currently, right? In our example, we booked 25,000 plus 1,000. I booked it previously. Okay, so before the session, I was just checking the system that there are no surprises. So I booked one test invoice for 1,000. So total balance is 26,000. How will I know? If you double click on this 26,000 credit, it will show you two lines. You can see there are two invoices. one invoice of 1,000 and second invoice of 25,000, which we booked just now. Right, so this is the invoice that we booked currently. Okay, if you just select this and click on this display document button, it will show you the document that we posted just now. So this is what we posted just now. We credited the vendor by 25,000. You can see minus sign. Okay, and we debited two different expense GL accounts. So electricity charges for 10,000 and rent charges for 15,000. Okay, same way, there was one previous invoice which I booked. So if I want to see this invoice, I will click on this and I will click on display document. Okay, and the display document, there is this button called as document overview. It will show me two lines. So this is the one which I booked earlier. So I credited the vendor by 1,000 and I debited the travel expense by 1,000. Okay, so in short, these are the lines, these are the invoices. These are all the invoices which are booked for this particular vendor. Okay, so one option is I can double click on this and it will automatically take me to lines. If I directly want to go to lines, then I will use FBL1N report, which I shown you here. So FBL1N will show me all the line items for that particular vendor. Okay, so if I go to FBL1N and I want to see for this vendor all the open line items. Open means what? The invoices which are created but the payment is not done. Okay, so there are some invoices which vendor has sent to us but we have still not made the payment. Those invoices are called as open invoices. Okay, so I want to see all those open invoices which were open on 31st of October. For example, I want to see all those invoices which were open on 31st of October 2019. Okay, if I execute this, the system is showing there are no line items at all. Why? Because even though the invoice date was 31st of October, in SAP system, the accounting took place only on 2nd of November. Right, so that is the reason posting date is very important. Okay, so what should I do? Even if I try with 0111 execute, I'm still getting the same error. Why? Because the invoices are only posted on 2nd of November. So if I go beyond this 2nd November 2019, now system will start showing me these two invoices. Okay, one of 1,000, second for 25,000. So after this, any date you take, even if you want to see what would be the open invoices on 2nd of December 2019, okay, it will still show you these two lines. Why? Because these are still not paid and these are still open even on 2nd of December also. Okay, are you clear with these two reports now? So if you want to check the balances, what is the total balance that we need to pay to this vendor, you will go to this transaction FK10N. And if you want to see all those invoices which are booked for this particular vendor, you will go to transaction FBL1N. Any questions till now? No questions? Okay, so let's go to this vendor line item display report once again. Let's have a look at two invoices. Okay, so these are the two invoices. The document date you can see are different. For the first invoice, document date is 2nd of November, and for the second invoice, it is 31st of October. Now in this report, if I want to know the due date, okay, see currently I'm not able to see the due date here. The reason is whenever you are executing this report, FBL1N or FBL5N, there is this button here, change layout, which allows you to add additional fields here. So if I click on this change layout, you can see there are a lot of other fields which are available, but they are not available in the report. These are the fields which I can see in the report. So if I want to see the due date, okay, so I can directly click on find button. I want to find due. You can see net due date. I will select this and I will drag here in the report. So if I click on copy, you can see now the due date column is also available. Okay, so for first invoice, due date is today itself. Okay, which means there was no payment terms provided by vendor. They have not provided any number of days. They said as soon as you receive the invoice, you need to make the payment. Okay, while for second invoice, vendor has given us 30 days to make the payment. So this particular invoice is due today. And this particular invoice is due on 30th of November. Okay, so let's make the payment of this first invoice because this is due today. So how are you going to make the payment? In order to make the payment, we are going to use transaction F-53, right? So how are we going to do that? Let's go to transaction F-53. Okay, this is post outgoing payments. What do you mean by outgoing payments? So there are two kinds of payments: outgoing payment, incoming payment. Outgoing payments means the payments that you are making to your suppliers. The payments which are going out, when the money is going out, that is outgoing payment. Okay. Second is incoming payment. Incoming payment means the payments that you are receiving from your customers. Okay, so currently we are booking the outgoing payment. Again, system is asking you document date, posting date. As I told you, whenever you are booking any accounting document, there are three important dates: document date, posting date, and entry date. Okay, so document date is just for the information purpose. Let's say you are making the bank transfer or you are making the giving the check to your particular vendor. Then the check date or the payment document transfer date, you need to enter it here in the document date column. Okay, so let's say you are giving the check to this particular vendor, and or maybe you are doing the bank transfer, but you are doing the bank transfer for the future date. So this payment will be done on 3rd of November 2019. Okay, but posting date, you want to make sure it is today's date. So you are not changing the posting date, right? Then in the bank section, you need to tell the system from which bank account you are making the payment. So if you are working in a company, there might be different bank accounts. Okay, so
Vikram, I have a question.
Yes.
How can a document date be later than a posting date?
It can be when you are making the payment. This is very common in, I don't know whether you follow the checks in US or not, but if you go with India or if you go with many other countries, they normally make the payment to the vendor in the form of checks. So it can be post-dated check. You are giving the check to the vendor, but this check can be cashed only after tomorrow.
Okay, so this document date here for payment purposes is the future date that relates to your cash flow when you want it to go out.
Yes, exactly.
That is going to be printed on the check, right?
Not necessarily. So printing on the check can be customized. So here also you have the value date. So whenever we are talking about any bank related transaction, normally
Yes.
the cash flow date is value date.
Then what is the difference between the cash flow date and the document date?
Document date can be used according to the customer's requirement. It is not necessary that document date has not a particular purpose. Document date is just the additional information that you can enter in the system. So in case of invoice, document date becomes your invoice date, right? In case of payment, normally we use the document date as the date on which we are actually making the payment to the vendor.
Yes, but like here in your example, like I am posting it on the 2nd, where as the document of the vendor is on the 3rd, a day after. Should it be a day earlier?
It can be earlier also. If you have the logic, see, logic needs to be built from the customer. Like what exactly is the purpose of how he is using the document date, it is up to the customer. So in my example, I am using document date as the date of the instrument that I am providing to the vendor as a form of payment. But there can be other logic also. So this is a free field. We can say document date is a free field. There is no such restriction.
Okay.
You can use according to your own requirements. Okay, but for cash flow, we normally don't worry about document date. For cash flow, value date is considered. Okay, this value date would be required only for bank related transactions. We are not providing value date for invoice, right? We booked the invoice. At the time of invoice, there was no value date. But whenever we are using the bank related transactions, value date normally is a mandatory field because it is related to the cash flow. Okay, so
thank you. Sorry.
here yes, no problem. So here I need to provide the account, bank account, from which bank account I am going to make the payment. Okay, so for example, in ABC India Limited, there are various bank accounts. So you can make the, let's say you have the bank account in Citibank, you have the bank account in Kotak Bank, you have the bank account in HDFC. Okay, so you have a choice from which bank account you want to make the payment, right? So for each and every GL account, sorry, for each and every bank account, we need to create a GL account. So in our case, we have not created multiple bank accounts. We only have single bank account here. Okay, but in the real example, you can have different GL accounts for different banks that you have. Okay, so if you have the account in Citibank, you will create a Citibank account as a GL account. If you have the other bank account in Kotak Bank, then you have to create a Kotak Bank also as a GL account. Okay, so in this particular example, I'm just selecting a bank. So I'm making the payment from this particular GL account. How much payment I'm making? I'm making the payment of 1,000. Right? And as I told you, since this is a bank GL account, it will definitely ask you for value date. So if you skip this field, it will later on give you the error. So as of now, I'm not entering. I want to see what is the error that system is giving us. Okay, and this is where you need to tell the system to whom you are making the payment. So here you told the system that I'm making the payment of 1,000 from this bank account. But to whom? Who is a vendor? Right, so that you need to provide here. That information you need to provide here. K means vendor. So account type is K. You are making the payment to the vendor, but for which vendor? That you need to provide here. So if you do F4, again system will list all the vendors. You can select a vendor that I want to make the payment to this particular vendor. Right? Now again, next question is, okay, you are making the payment to this vendor, but for what? For which invoice are you making the payment? There are two open invoices. So for this particular vendor, there are two invoices, this one and this one. So out of these two, for which invoice are you making the payment? For that, you have to select, you have to click on this process open items. It will show you all the open items for this vendor, and you can easily select that for which open item you are making the payment. So if I click on process open item, first, it is just giving me the warning message. This is a warning message. Yellow means warning message. It is saying document date is in future. So if you are sure that, okay, no problem, just press enter. Now it is saying the entry is required in the value date field of account 2000, which means this field is mandatory. So I will provide this 03/11/2019. Okay. And then if I click on process open item again, now I am getting another error which is related to the configuration. Okay, so this has nothing to do with the process. You will not get this error during the process. This is only one-time setting that we need to perform when you are implementing the new SAP system. Okay, what is this error? An entry ABCI is missing in table T043G. Okay, so this is technical for you, but what exactly is T43G is, let me tell you. It is a tolerance. If you remember earlier, when we posted the documents, when we understood the general ledger accounting, we discussed about tolerance groups. Let me show you what exactly I mean. So earlier we have done one configuration in financial accounting global settings, document, tolerance group, and this is where we created the tolerance group blank, right? So tolerance group that we created for a company code ABCI. Right, so this is a tolerance group which we created in order to tell the system that which user can post the document up to what amount. Right, so what is the maximum limit that the document can be posted in this particular company code by this particular end user. Same thing we need to do for AP and AR also. So this tolerance group we created for GL accounting. For AP and AR, you have to come out of this. In financial accounting, there is a separate folder for AR and AP. So you need to go for AR and AP. In this one, you will go for business transactions. In business transactions, currently we are making outgoing payments, right? So you'll go for outgoing payments, manual outgoing payments, and you can see define tolerance. Don't worry about vendors and customers, it is one and same. So if I click on define tolerance, currently for our company code, which is ABCI, you can see there is no entry. Okay, and that is the reason we are getting the error. So simply what we can do is we can copy the values from 0001, keep the tolerance group blank. Okay, so just 0001, copy and change it to your company code, which is ABCI. If you press enter, it will automatically take your currency, and by default we are going with the standards. Even in the production system, normally we don't touch this. Okay, so there are very few companies which will ask you that okay, our tolerance limits are different, but otherwise most of the companies will go with the standard tolerances which are provided by SAP. Okay, so maybe we will discuss on this later on. As of now, just click on save. Okay, so now we are done with the tolerance. So this configuration is completed. Again, if I go to post accounting or outgoing payment, let's try to do process open items once again. You can see now that error is gone. System is not giving us that particular error. Okay, and it is showing us two invoices. It is showing us for this vendor, there are two invoices, one for 1,000, second for 25,000. So which invoice you want to pay? By default, you can see this, both are blue. Blue means system is by default selected both the invoices. But if I want to make the payment only for the first invoice, what I can do is I can deselect this. How will you deselect? Just double click on this. When you double click on this, you can see this has been turned to black. So we are telling the system that we are making the payment only for this particular invoice, which is highlighted in blue. Right? You can see we are making the payment of 1,000 and we are selecting the invoice which has the value of 1,000. So now you can see the balance is 0. Okay. Same way, if I want to save this document, just click on post. Okay, and system will create another accounting document, and now this invoice is already paid. Okay, so what should happen now? If I want to know the balance of this particular supplier, if I go to transaction FK10N, what should be the balance?
25,000.
25, right? Because
We paid
earlier it was 20,000. Out of 26,000, we already made the payment of 1,000. So the remaining would be only 25,000. You can see 25,000. It is also giving you the bifurcation. It is saying total credit was done for 26,000, but there is a debit also of 1,000.
There's a
When you
payment.
make the payment, you are debiting the vendor. Right? Now, if I double click on this 25,000, it will clearly tell me that there is one invoice which is due for 25,000. The second invoice, which was due for 1,000, the payment is already done. This is a payment document. KZ is payment document and KR is invoice document. So there was an invoice of 1,000, which is cleared with the payment of 1,000. And that is the reason when you clear the document, which means when the payment is already done for a particular vendor invoice, then you will be able to see this is turned into green. Green means cleared, which means we already paid this particular
So the
invoice.
red on top means unpaid.
It is unpaid, yes. It is open. Okay, red means it is open and green means it is already paid. And if it is paid, you will be able to see the clearing document also. You can see this clearing. This document is already cleared. Okay, this document is still not cleared. This is open. Okay, same way, if I want to see the list of invoices, I will go to transaction FBL1N. So FBL1N. Now here, if I want to see only open items, for this particular supplier, I want to see only open items. Open items means it will not show me cleared invoices. It will not show me whatever invoices are already paid. It will only show me the open invoices as of this particular date. So if I execute this, see, it is only showing one invoice now. It is not showing another invoice. But if I want to see both, I want to see the invoices which are unpaid plus the invoices which are paid, then I can come out and you can see there is all items. I want to see all items for this particular vendor. Okay, if I want to see only cleared items, I want to see only those items which are paid, right? So I'll select cleared items and execute. It will only show me cleared items. It will not show me the items which are open. So whenever you are running this report, you can tell the system that I want to see the invoices which are open, I want to see the invoices which are cleared, or I want to see all the items. Okay, and that too you can provide the date. So I want to see only those invoices which are cleared, but cleared on 31st of October 2019. Okay, it will not show me any invoice because there was no invoice which was cleared on this particular date. The invoice which was cleared currently was on 2nd of November. So on 2nd of November, it will show me this invoice. Or I can tell the system that I want to see all those invoices which are cleared between 1st of November to 30th of November 2019. Again, it will show me these two invoices because they are falling in the range of 1st November to 30th November. Right? So when you are booking or when you are looking at this particular report, which is vendor line item display report, system will be able to tell you what are the open items. You can go for the cleared items or you can go for all the items at once. I want to see all the items for this particular vendor. So execute, it will show me open also, cleared also. Again, I can restrict. I want to see only those items which are posted between 1st of November to 30th of November. I don't want to see any other items. Okay, so it will again show me the same items because we posted today itself. Is it clear now? Now you know what is open item, what is cleared item. This is very important.
Yep.
Clearing document will come only for clearing cleared documents. Okay, so you can see this invoice is still not cleared, and that is the reason there is no clearing document. Clearing documents mean the payment document. So this was an invoice starting with 19 was an invoice. You can see document type KR. Document type KR is for invoices. So this invoice was created and then the payment was done using this document number. So this document number is a clearing document for both. When this document was posted, these two line items were cleared. Okay, same way, now if I want to make the payment for this 25,000, what should I do again? So we know the transaction code for making the payment is F-53. I will use the same transaction code F-53, or you can follow the path from accounting, financial accounting, accounts payables. Okay, and what we are doing is we are making the payment. So payment is document entry. Okay, outgoing payments. You can see within document entry, outgoing payment, double click on post. It will open the same screen. You can see this is nothing but F-53. You can see the transaction code here. right? So document date, let's say I am making the payment bank transfer immediately, which is going to be done today itself. So 02/11/2019. From which bank account? I only have one bank account as of now, so I will select that. So I'm making the payment from this bank account. How much amount I am paying? I am paying complete amount, which is 25,000. System will ask me value date for the bank account. So value date is again 02/11/2019. And to which vendor I am making this payment. So I'll select the vendor. Okay, so my vendor is this Tata. Then I will click on process open item. System will only show me those invoices which are open. So earlier it was showing 2 invoices. One is already cleared now. So if I click on process open item, you can see system is only showing me one item, which is 25,000. Now what is this cash discount 500?
Because you paid before the due date, you're getting a discount.
Exactly. So in the
2%
payment
discount.
terms, if you know the payment term that we are using, when we book this invoice, this is the invoice that we booked, right? So if I want to see the details of this invoice, I'll select this and click on this display document button. And if you see here, we use payment term 0002. Okay, in this payment term 002, you can see the setting is that if you are paying this invoice in less than 14 days, if you are paying this invoice in less than 14 days, then you will be able to enjoy the discount of 2%. If you pay after 14 days, before 30 days, then you will not get any discount, 0% discount. Right, so simple. If I try to change this, so let's say again, if I go to F-53, okay, and instead of making the payment on 2nd of November, let's say document date is not a problem. You can enter whatever document date you want. It takes this date. So let's say I'm making this payment on 28th of November. Okay, which means after 14 days, which means I'll not be able to enjoy the discount. So from this bank account, and I'm making the payment, entire payment 25,000. This is a value date. Again, value date is just for the cash flow. Yeah, sorry.
Value date should be later, right? To get the
Yes,
not to get the
value date would be the date in which the banks will be updated for cash flow. Okay, and to which vendor I want to make this payment. So I have to make the payment to this particular vendor. Click on process open item. Why it is still showing the discount? Let's see. It should not show us the discount because we are making the payment on 28th of November. Something wrong. Let me try once again. So what we are entering is F-53. Maybe system is considering the document date. In the payment term, we can do the setting, which date to be considered. So let's say 28/11/2019. 28/11/2019. I want to make the payment from this bank account and I want to make the payment of this much. This would be my value date. And this is my vendor. Yeah. So it is considering the document date. So based on the document date, system is deciding what should be my cash discount. Okay, but that is a configuration that is based in the payment term. So when we set up the payment term, we can tell the system which date to be considered for the payment term for the cash discount. So it is considering the document date in this particular example. It is not necessary. It is not necessary that payment terms always considers the document date. It can also consider the posting date. It can also consider the entry date. Okay, so that topic of payment terms we will discuss later. But just remember that if you are paying, it is possible in SAP that if you are paying in advance, if you are paying before due date, it is possible that you can configure the discounts. Okay, so this also needs to be agreed with the vendor, right? You cannot do it on your own. You have one vendor who will tell you, okay, if you make the payment immediately, I will give you 5% discount. If you make the payment in less than 10 days, I will give you 2% discount. But if you are paying after 10 days, then there will not be any discount. So based on that, we have to set up the payment term in the SAP system. Okay, so let's make the payment. So this is already blue. We don't need to select this. How you can deselect? Double click, it will get deselected. Double click, it will again become selected. So the balance is 0 and I can save it. Okay, so the payment document has been created. Now what do you think? What should be the balance for this particular vendor?
0.
It has to be 0, right? There were 2 invoices which were posted. We already made the payment. Now there is no liability. You don't need to pay anything to this particular vendor. So I will click on execute and you can see the balance. Just look at this, balance is 0. Okay, total sales purchases that we have done is 26,000, but the balance what we need to pay now is completely 0. Why? Because there is a credit of 26,000 which is already debited also. So invoices were created in credit section, payments are done in the debit section. If I double click on credit column, it will only show me invoices. See, it is only showing me 2 invoices. If I double click on debit column, it will show me only 2 payments. You can see document type KZ. If I double click on balance 0, it will show me 4 lines, 2 for debit, 2 for credit. Okay, so double click here. It is showing you 4 lines. The entire balance is 0. Okay, and you can see clearing document for each and every, sorry, this is not clearing document. You can see the clearing date for each and every line item. So this line item 25,000 is also cleared now.
But it is in future rate, future date, right, Vikram?
Yeah, that is fine. So as of now, I am considering the overall period. But if you go to FBL 1 and report, line level report. Now, can you tell me what will be the open items on 2nd of November?
It will show the 25,000.
It will show 25,000 because the payment was done only on 28th of November, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I want to know the open items on 2nd of November,
it will
see,
still show 26.
No, not 26 because on 2nd of November, the payment of 1,000, right?
Okay, so 25.
Right.
It
But
shows
if I see this for 28th of November,
it will show 0.
it will show 0. There are no line items. There are no open items to show.
Okay. So
Right,
before
so
you selected this date, 28/11.
Yeah, anything before this, 27/11, it will show balance, right? On 27,
Yeah, it will
there is
show.
a balance
Yeah.
of 25,000.
Yeah.
Okay, it will clearly show you that clearing document has been created. And if you want to know the clearing date, I can bring the clearing date column also here. So find clearing date. Let's move this column this side. You can see the clearing date is 28th of November 2019.
Mm-hmm.
Vikram, why is the due date hidden?
Due date is normally hidden, but you can always bring it.
No, we brought it, right?
No. We have not saved that layout. No? Every time we have to change the layout. It will automatically show you the last layout. Yes. So net due date. It is here.
How to
So what
save
happens
that
is,
screen layout?
this is a standard. Yeah, this is a standard layout which comes without clearing and without net due date. If you want to save this layout, there is an option here. Save layout. So you have to provide your own name here. So slash, let's say Vikram. It should start with slash and save. So now next time when I'll come to this particular screen, by default, if it is not showing the Vikram one, then what you need to do is you need to go for select layout and you have to select Vikram from here. It will automatically bring those two columns. Okay, just once again, the entire process we will see again, but this time for AR. Entire process starting from creation of customer to booking the customer invoice to making the payment, sorry, to receive the payments from the customer and the reports. So let's say there is a new customer who is asking us for a particular service. Okay, we want to register a new customer. So if I want to register a new customer, I will go to transaction BP. Okay, this is the only transaction supported in S4 HANA to create customers. I'll click on organization. Okay, groupings, we created some groupings last time. So ABC1 I'll select. And the role for customer, there are two important roles, FLCU00 and FLCU01. So for FI, we need FLCU00 only. Click on create. Okay, so let's say this is again a company. Let's say this is Amazon. Amazon is our customer. We are selling something to Amazon. Okay, search term again I will write Amazon. Postal code city, let's say this is I selected domestic. Maybe I'll select foreign this time. Okay, so foreign customer. So city is, let's say postal code is 12345 something, and let's say this belongs to New York. Country is US.
Won't you have a problem with the US dollar versus Indian dollar here?
Yeah, that part I'll come, because if there is a problem, at least you will understand how to tackle that.
Okay.
Okay, only thing is I think we already set up this grouping properly. If you're not set up, then system will not allow us to create a customer, but I think we have done this already in the last session. So language would be English. Okay, and I'll go to the company code tab. So our company code is ABCI, enter. We already have the customer reconciliation account. So this is for foreign. Last time we selected this one. This time we will select foreign customer. Okay, and let's try to save it. Okay, perfect. So we are able to create a business partner with number 163, and it is created as a customer with this another number. Okay, so that is not an issue. We will use this customer now to create our invoice. So now customer is available, and this customer, we are selling this product to this customer. Okay, so again, I will create another invoice, but this time it is a customer invoice. Okay, so earlier vendor has sent us the invoice. Now we are sending the invoice to our customer. So I'll again go for new file. Okay, so here
Just
our
copy it
name will
over.
appear. Sorry.
Just copy it over and make Tata ABC Chemicals.
Yes, even we can do that. So let's do that. It would be simpler. Okay, so this was our vendor invoice, and now I'm creating the customer invoice. So only thing is I need to change here to ABC India Limited. Okay, customer name would be Amazon. Let's say invoice number is 20001. Invoice date is this one. Due date is also fine. And we are just selling one revenue. So I'm removing this. Otherwise, we have to create the revenue GL accounts, multiple revenue GL accounts. So we are providing one service to this particular customer for 10,000. Clear? So this is the invoice which we want to book in SAP system. How are we going to do that? So for booking the customer invoice, we are going to use transaction FB70. Okay. So let's go to transaction FB70. Okay, it is asking you customer. See, similar screen is exactly similar to FB60. Only thing is, In case of FB60, it was asking you vendor. In case of FB70, it is asking you customer. And because customer is debit, in case of FB60, these lines were debit. Okay, in case of customer, these lines are credit because this section is going to be debited. Customer is going to be debited because this is our current asset. Whatever we need to recover from customer is our current asset, right? So let's select the customer. For ABCI, we created multiple customers, so we need to select Amazon. Invoice date is 31st of October, and we are booking this on 2nd of November. The invoice number is 20001. Okay, amount is 10,000. Okay, now it is our choice whether we want to book this invoice in INR or USD. So let's say if I want to book this in USD, then definitely this is where I need to change the currency. Okay, let's assume that this is in USD. So we are billing the customer in USD, not in INR. Right? So this is a place where you need to tell the system what is the currency that you want to bill. At the same time, when you also create a customer, in customer creation also, if you go to change mode, there is a default currency. Okay, you can tell the system that in which currency are you going to book the invoices for this particular customer. So let me show you that currency part. Okay, maybe we'll come to that later on. So by default also you can set up that this customer I'm going to, by default the system should be able to determine the currency as USD, right? So I'm entering this manually, and here I need to book the revenue, right? Customer account debit to revenue account credit. So, yeah, sales or revenue. So sales revenue, we already have one GL account, which is 3,000. I will use this. Okay, how much is the amount? Amount is 10,000.
US dollars.
US dollar should come automatically. If not, we will enter. Okay, and if I press enter, now this is a revenue account, but we also created this revenue account as our cost element. So it will also ask you for cost object. Okay, let's see. See, it is asking you for cost object. But do you think for revenue, will you provide the cost center?
Yes.
For revenue?
Yes.
Why you need cost center? Cost center is cost. Are you incurring cost currently?
No, I'm sorry. It should be a profit center, but I don't know how.
The profit center. Yes. So what we can do is, in case of revenue, we can provide the profit center. We don't need to provide the cost center. We can directly provide the profit center. So if you do F4, system will show you whatever profit centers are available. In our case, there is only one. Let's select this and press enter. Okay, this is a warning message. When you don't enter the cost center and directly enter the profit center, this warning message will come, but you can ignore this. Just press enter. Okay, so now you can see the balance is 0 and this is in USD. We are booking this in USD. Okay, let's go to the payment tab and see the payment terms. So payment terms is blank, which means system will by default don't provide any payment terms. We will again make it 0002. Okay, which means 30 days. Okay, so now the payment term is 30 days. Although it is not showing you due date here, but when you post the invoice, we'll be able to see the due date also. Okay, now we just want to check one thing. We are telling the system that we are booking this invoice at 10,000 USD, but our company code currency is what? Is it USD?
No, functional currency is India, rupee.
Currently, we are following INR, right? So whenever we are booking any transaction in foreign currency, we want system to automatically calculate the corresponding amount in INR also, right? So if I go for document, before I post, I just want to make sure that what is the rate which system is capturing. So if I go to document and click on simulate, Okay, simulate means before you post, you can check what is going to happen. Enter. So you can see it is showing you 10,000 USD. But what you can do here is, again, you
It's
can
1-to-1. The
yes, you
transaction
can
rate, translation rate has to be, translation
no, no,
table has to be.
right. But currently it is USD. It is not showing you anything in INR.
That's
So if I
correct.
click on this change layout, you need to bring the column called as local currency amount. Local currency is INR. So amount in local currency. See, the amount in local currency is 46.69. So it is the rate which is maintained. Someone has maintained the rate of 46. 1 USD equal to 46 INR, which is wrong. As of now, it is around 70, 72. Right? So let's say we are not happy with this rate. This rate is not correct, right? We are not happy with this rate and we want to change the rate. How can you do that?
We have to go to the
Number one,
tables.
yeah, number one, you can go to this local currency. You can change the rate here in the transaction, but that is not the right way. Right? Rate should be same. It should not change based on the document. Rate should be, there should be one rate which is maintained. Currently, the exchange rate maintained is 46.69. So if I want to change this exchange rate, there is only one transaction that you need to remember. OB08. This is a rate table. This is a table where you maintain the exchange rates. So if I want to go for exchange rate type M, M is the standard exchange rate type that we used. And if you want to go for currency USD to INR, see, currently someone has maintained 46.69 starting from 2001. So if I want to tell the system, no, this is very old rate, let's create a new line and let's say this rate is valid from 2019. Okay, so 1st January 2019, I want to change this rate to, let's say, just for the simplification purpose, it is 70, exactly 70.
Can I interject?
Sorry, yeah,
Come? But you know what? The way that we are doing it is like, in real life, you'd have to then change it every day because FX, like,
yes,
changes every moment. So isn't
this
there
is
like a table or something that downloads from, let's say, Bloomberg or something, or Central Bank of India, like, whatever spot rate or whatever average rate, some kind of thing that pops up or that
right,
is linked to the table that gets like, changed automatically by each day or the average day or whichever way, depending on what the translation adjustment and like, policy is, right?
right. So see, what happens normally is this decision whether to change the rate on daily basis or weekly basis or monthly basis, this has to come from business. So there are a
Mm,
lot of companies who are following the monthly rate.
mm,
There are many companies who are following the daily rate,
mm.
right? And if you go with the standard SAP functionality doesn't provide the rate to be updated automatically. So this is the only place where you need to go and you have to change the rate manually. Okay, but again, this is a tedious activity. Then if you want to change
Yeah,
the
yeah,
rate
yeah.
on day-to-day basis, then what you need to do is you need ABAP. Okay, ABAP means you need to develop some program in addition to what is already provided by SAP. So there are many companies who have developed their own program. As you said, now again it depends upon the country. So if you are in Europe, you need the rates coming from what is that? European Central Bank, right? ECB something. If you
That's
are in
correct.
US, there is a separate bank from which the portal from which you will pick the data on the daily basis. If you are in
FD.
India, normally in India they follow monthly rate. Okay, so I worked on many Indian projects. Most of them they follow the monthly rates. So for them it is not a problem to go in this table monthly and change it on daily basis. But yes, if they are following daily, then definitely they need to decide from where the rate will come, and system will like you need to develop a program which will automatically go here and change the rate on day-to-day basis.
Can I ask a second question?
Yes.
The transaction, like, foreign currency exchange or loss,
Mm-hmm.
when you do the translation at the end of the month,
Right.
where would it appear? I know it would go into a GL account, you would map it there, but it happens
Yes.
in the background. But where do we actually see it in SAP?
Right. So Nafis, this is a good question, but what we will do is we will discuss on this topic as a periodic processing, because this topic is a separate topic which will take one session in itself.
Then forget it. Go ahead, please. My apologies.
Right. No. That is a good question. At least you are correlating the topics. That is a good thing. But only thing is, this is a topic which is we need to discuss in two parts. One is realized gain loss, and second is unrealized gain loss. So
Exactly.
yeah, I think there are some guys who are completely new to SAP and accounts. So before I explain that topic, how it will happen in SAP, I need to first explain what is the process and why that particular thing is required at the first place. Okay, so we will discuss those topics separately.
Sorry again. Go ahead, please.
No problem. So 70 is my normal rate, which I'm mentioning here. And if I save it, okay, so now system knows that starting from 2019, whenever I'm using USD, the rate should be 70. Okay, but this will only take place next time when I book the invoice. So what I need to do is maybe I need to come out. I'll not save this. Again, I'll go to FB70. Okay, so customer number this, invoice number this. This is my reference. Amount is this one. Okay, and this is my revenue GL account, which is going to be credited with 10,000, and I'm going to enter the profit center for revenue bookings. Okay, so this is my profit center. If I go to the payment tab, I'll just change the payment term to 0002, which means I want to provide 30 days to the customer to make the payment. Okay, and then sorry, I need to change this currency. I think I have not changed it. This is INR. Again, I have to go back. FB70. So this is
Keep it in
customer.
INR. It doesn't matter. Keep it in INR. It's gonna be easy.
No, but let's complete this one because we want to see what is the impact of changing the table in OB08.
Oh yes.
Okay, so I will go to profit center, enter, and one more enter, payment tab, payment terms. Okay, and let's now try to go to document and simulate this document. Document, simulate. Okay, it is showing 10,000 USD, which is correct. But if you want to see the values in local currency, so amount in local currency is the column that we need to bring on this side. So now you can see the rate is 70.
100,000. Yeah.
Right. So on day-to-day basis, you need to keep updating the table. Once the table is updated, whenever a user is doing the transaction, he will always get the latest rate. So every night, if you are scheduling the job, if you want to take the data from some of the agency, that should happen every night at around 12. Okay, so that as soon as the business starts the transaction, the rates are always updated. Okay, so let's try to book this invoice now. Just press enter and the invoice has been created. Okay, once the invoice is created, I can go and see the balance. How can I see the balance? So for customer, the transaction code to see the balance is FD10N. Let's go to FD10N. So FD10N transaction. I want to see the balance of which customer? I want to see the balance of Amazon. So Amazon, just execute it. So it is showing you the total balance. This is in local currency. You can see this is in INR. The total balance of this vendor is 700,000. Okay, debit balance, which means we need to recover this amount from the customer. If you double click, it will show you only one invoice. There is something wrong. Don't worry about this. This is some bug in the system. Even in the morning, I was facing it. it is showing you double line, which is wrong. It should only show you one line. Okay, so there should be only one line. There is only one invoice. You can see the invoice number also is repeated. So there is only one invoice which is due, which is for 700,000. Okay, and if you want to make the payment to this particular, or if you want to receive the payment from this customer, then you will be using another transaction, or maybe before that, let me show you line level report, which is FBL Fi. So one is replaced with Fi in case of customer line items. In case of GL line items, it was 3. So FBL, let me enter it here. FBL 1N will give you vendor line items. FBL 3N will give you GL line items. And FBL 5N will give you customer line items. Same way, FS 10N is GL balance. FD 10N is customer balance. And FK 10N is vendor balance. Okay, so in this case, we will use FBL 5N to see the customer line items. So FBL 5N for this particular customer, I want to see all the open items which are open on 2nd of November 2019. Let's execute. This is wrong. It should show only one invoice, as I told you. So which is showing this one. Is there anything cleared? Nothing, because we
Vikram,
just posted one document. There is
I have a
nothing in
question.
clear.
Hello.
Yes, Chandrika.
Yeah, Vikram, is it possible to get these kind of bugs in real time?
Definitely, it is possible, and this is a big problem. See, this is a test system. Okay, so this is completely fine if the balance is appearing as 140,000, which is normally 700,000. It is unnecessarily showing you double the balance. This is a big bug.
Yeah.
Okay, but as long as this system is test system, we are not bothered. If this thing is happening in the production system, then definitely this is a big issue, and you need to immediately report to SAP, and they will provide you the solution within minutes.
Okay. As a consultant, we don't do anything, right, for that?
No, as a consultant, this is not a configuration issue. This is a system bug.
Okay.
So what SAP will do
The
is they will
ABAP guys do that, right?
ABAP will follow what SAP is asking them to do.
Okay.
This is a system bug.
Fix,
System bug
so the
means
fix would be done by SAP or the ABAP guys?
no. See, what happens is normally if you are getting this kind of issues, SAP normally doesn't touch your system. SAP will just tell you do this and your problem will be solved. So once SAP told you this needs to be done, if it is a configuration related thing, as a functional consultant, we will do it. But if it is a technical thing, then either Basis or ABAP has to do it.
Okay.
Okay, Vikram.
Okay, so if I go for cleared items, it will not show anything. If I go for all items, then it will show me again just one line. Okay, because there is only one line that we posted for this particular customer. Okay, so this is how FBL file report will look like. Now the next one is, let's say customer is making us the payment. So in order to receive the payments from the customer, we will use transaction F-28. Right, so let's go to F-28. Okay, so let's say we are receiving the payment on today's date itself as a bank transfer. Again, we have to tell the system, again, you can see this screen is exactly same as outgoing payment. This is incoming payment screen, but this is again same as outgoing payment. Only difference is here by default it is showing D, which means you are receiving the payment from customer. D means customer, K means vendor. In case of F-53, it was showing you K.
Debtor, creditor, okay.
All right. So here you need to select the account. So our account is bank account. There is only one bank account. I'll select this, and I'm getting the payment of, first of all, let me change this. to USD. I'm getting the payment in USD. Amount is 10,000. Again USD. Value date would be 02/11/2019, and the account from whom I am receiving the payment, so customer, which is Amazon. If I click on process open item, it will show me all those invoices for which payment is still not done. So process open item, it is only showing you one invoice and it is giving you the 5%. Is it 5%? No, it is 2%. It is giving you 2% cash
It's actually
discount.
giving 9,800.
Right. So it is giving you 200 as the cash discount, 200 USD as a cash discount, because you are making the payment before.
It's taking the discount.
It is by default taking the discount because we are making the payment on 2nd of November.
Yeah, so shouldn't they be remitting us 9,800 because they're paying early?
Yes, if you are receiving the payment on 2nd of November, and if you want to utilize this cash discount, then one thing you have to do is, when you are, okay, let me again go to F-28 then. So in that case, if you already know that customer is going to get the discount, then here you are not going to enter the actual amount. You are going to enter what you are getting, right? So we are getting 9,800 USD, right? And then this is our customer. If I go to process open item, now you can see both the balances are matched. The balance is 0. Okay. If you save it now, there is some error. Okay, this is related to what? There is some account determination which is missing. So this account determination is nothing. You are giving the discount, right? You are giving the cash discount of 200 USD. Have you created any GL account for cash discounts?
Allowed GL account, so we have to have one created, and then that would be mapped there, that 200 bucks.
So first thing is we need to create a new GL account for cash discounts that we are giving. So cash discounts that we are giving is kind of expense to us, right? Because it is going out. So 4004. Okay, let's say I will create this as expense account. So cash discounts given. Later on, we will also create cash discounts taken from vendors. So that is our revenue. Okay, so cash discounts taken, sorry, given is the expense account that we created. Now this 4004 system should automatically know this. Okay, so what it is asking us to do is, it is giving us this error.
You have to map it to that account, the 200 bucks.
Right, so system is not able to determine the GL account to post this 200 USD. So just click on this error. Okay, and click on, see if you are getting any error, the first thing you should check is whether it is allowing you to automatically go to that configuration. So it is allowing you to go to that configuration directly. Okay, so for chart of account ABC 0, and see it is taking you to SKT cash discount expenses. What you can do is just save this and provide your GL account. So in our case, GL account is 4004 and save it. Okay, now if you come back, close this and try to do document simulate once again. Document simulate. You can see cash discount given is 200.
Yes.
So Amazon is getting credited with 10,000. Okay, you are receiving 9,800 in your bank account, and remaining 200 is the cash discount that you have given to this particular customer. Why it is blue is because there is something missing in this. So if you double click, it will tell you, it will normally ask you the cost center, because it is an expense account, you need to provide the cost object. So if I provide this cost object as this cost center, then if you come back, you can see now there is no error and you can save this document. Okay, so document has been posted. If you go to document and display, you can see what is posted. So Amazon is credited with 10,000, bank is debited with 9,800, and cash discount given is 200. Okay, so now if I go to FD10N. What should be the balance? What should be the balance for Amazon? How much
Zero.
we need to? Zero, right? Because we already received the amount.
And also give the discount. Nothing remaining for them.
Nothing remaining, right? Because 7,000 was billed and 7,000 is already paid. Sorry, 700,000. If you double click, it will show you both the invoices. You can see it is showing double. So although it should be one here and one here. So DR and DZ. Okay, and if you click on DZ, if you double click on this and go to overview, it will clearly tell you that we have also given the cash discount. Okay, so this is how you post the invoice, you receive the payments from vendors, and this is how you book the customer invoices and make the payments or receive the payments from customers. These are the different reports which we normally use. These reports in AP and AR you will use on day-to-day basis. Okay, so even as a consultant, whenever you are getting any issue, customer is reporting that he is not able to perform this particular task, the first thing that you will do is go to this report and see whether the balance is available or not. Okay, so these are the things which we wanted to discuss today. What we are going to discuss next is partial payments. Okay, so yesterday we kept it simple. Vendor has sent us the invoice of 1,000, we made the payment of 1,000, but life is not that much simple, right? Vendor sends us the invoice of 1,000, or
We
maybe
pay
vendor is
200.
right. So vendor is sending us the invoice of 1,020, and we are asking why should we pay 20? Let's pay 1,000 as a round figure. 20 we will adjust in the next bill. Right. So we will take care of that partial payments, even the down payments. So it is not always the invoice will come first. There are a lot of vendors who will ask you to pay the advance. Even the customers, you are not going to directly bill them first. You will ask them, okay, we will provide you this material, but you need to pay 20% in advance. So advance payments, partial payments, these are some of the topics, along with how to set up a new payment term. This is something that we will discuss tomorrow. So first we will start with how to set up a new payment term. Then we will see how to receive the partial payments and how to make the partial payments. And then finally, we will discuss how to receive the down payments, that is advance payments, and how to make the advance payments to the vendors. Clear?
Thank you.
Vikram, Shrikant here.
Yes, Shrikant.
So is the procedure is same when even the vendor is our customer? Because in some case which I heard that the vendor and the customer will be the same. So is the procedure is the same for that case or
No,
something different which
one
you will?
topic. Yeah, there is one
Okay.
topic called as netting. Okay, when your vendor and
Okay.
customers are same, so you normally net it off. You do the offsetting. Okay, so let's say if you are my customer, you gave me 10,000. Okay, I like there is a liability of 10,000 to you. At the same time, I also provided you some services for 12,000. So you are not going to pay me 12,000 and I'm not going to pay you 10,000. What we normally do is we will check the balance, and at the end I just need to transfer you 2,000, right? So that is called as netting. So we will talk about that topic also, how to net off the customers and vendor balances.
Okay. Okay. So still the topic is pending which need to discuss further.
Yes, we will discuss.
Okay.
We also discussed about the payment method because we are doing generally 3 payment methods via check and wire and
Right.
electronic payments.
Yes. So we are also going to discuss about payment methods. Today we have discussed just the manual payments, but in the companies, when you are working with the big companies, they are not going to make one payment at a time. Okay, so there is something called as automatic payment program. Okay, automatic payment
Correct.
program, you can make thousands of payments at the same time. Just take an example of paying salaries to the employees. Do you think the HR will pay one employee at a time? They want to make the payment to all their employees at one time, right? So that is the example of automatic payment. Similarly, if your customer is not paying you on time, you need to send him reminders. Okay, let's take an example of credit card company or maybe postpaid company. If you miss the due date, they start sending you the mails, they start sending you the SMS. So they are reminding you that your payment is due, please make the payment. That is called as dunning in SAP. So we are also going to talk about what is dunning, how to send the payment reminders to the customers if they are not paying on time.
Thank you.
Vikram,
Yes.
how are we supposed to remember all this that you're teaching us? It
Only
looks so
practice.
easy, but it's so much.
Practice will make you perfect. There is no other way to do it. It is only practice. So whatever I am teaching you, you need to make sure that whatever time you are getting, at least you are carrying out 2-3 scenarios. Okay, it is not like I told you this, you are also following me. You should also think that what will happen in the industry. So let's take an example. Today you uh, correlated the topics with the industry. When I was talking about foreign currency exchange rate, you talked about the valuation. So this is something good that you should also try on your own, that how this will happen. There should be curiosity. If you are curious, then you will try various scenarios, and when you are facing the interviews, you will already know this, that yes, I tried this and it worked for me. This is how I have done it. If you just follow me, if you are just listening to my videos, and if you are not later on practicing in the system, you will be able to tell theoretically everything. You will be able to correlate the process. But if someone asks you to do it in the system, because you don't have hands-on, it would be very difficult.
That is for sure, but at least we should remember, like I don't know about others, but for me, my goal is to just have the certification done. Curiosity and all these and a lot of things come with experience and working in real-time projects, like problem solving,
So that is
troubleshooting.
definitely
But
the case. That is definitely the case. Whenever you are going for training, it is only 40%. 60% you will learn when you actually start working on the projects. Okay, but at the same time, even that 40% is required, because without that, it would be like if you are already working, then no need to worry. But there
no,
are
I
some
don't
guys.
work. This is the first time I am all that you're asking. I can relate because I had exposure to something JD Edwards. So
Okay, yes, you are coming from other ERP background then.
so that's why I can ask some. Like I do understand a bit of it, but
Right.
this is all new to me, like rocket science.
Okay. No, but it is all about practice. If you keep on practicing, so even yesterday I sent you the mail regarding the forum. This is again a very good thing, because what happens normally is you are facing an issue, you just send me the mail, and then maybe I'm busy with the corporate trainings, maybe I'm busy with the projects, so I'm only replying after 3-4 days. Okay,
Hmm.
so now if the forum is open, you are all learning, right? Not only you, there are many other batches which are completed. There are
Can
already
help
some
too, in addition to you.
parallel, yes, parallel batches which are going on. So I want you to participate in that. You can just, I kept it open for all, even not only for students. Anyone else from the industry can come and they can post their questions, and you will be able to answer that. So you will feel
Wonderful.
confident that okay, I'm able to solve the problem that another person is facing.
No, that thank you very much for introducing us to a repository of a forum. That actually is good help.
Right. So that should be utilized now. So that is one thing. Second thing, what
But
I'm going
Vikram,
to
what
do
theory
is
should
that,
we be learning for the exams? Like no books, no nothing.
no, I already shared the books, Nafis. Have you received the books or not?
Chief, I haven't looked at it honestly.
Just go to the. I already shared with you. I'm 100% sure. Just go through the Google Drive. There are some
Okay,
PDF documents which I shared with you.
fair
So
enough.
those
Okay, I'll
documents
look
will help
into
you to
this.
get the
Yeah,
certificate.
yeah, I'm lacking behind, way behind.
Yeah. So what I'm also going to do is, once I complete this AP and AR part, I am going to give you the mini project, and that would be in the group. So if you are isolated, you are not working. But if I ask you to do in the group of 4-5 guys in one group, then definitely you will start working like you are working in a project.
Sure.
Okay, so that is something which will follow. But I just want to make sure that your concepts are clear before I give you any assignment.
Yes. Thank you so much. How was Diwali, by the way?
Yeah, it was good. This time it was too much rain, so
It was actually one good on one side because there were not much of pollution, at least in Maharashtra.
Well, up here in Canada, it coincided with our Halloween, but I got some
Right.
sweets from my buddies. Tons of good sweets.
Great.
Thank you, Vikram. Thank you so much.
Okay. Anything else? Any other question from anyone?
Vikram, I have one question.
Yes, Pratima.
If in case of vendor, if we made excess payment, what would happen?
Excess payment means you received the invoice of 900, but you paid 1000, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So what will happen is this 100 you will adjust with the next bill. So that is partial payments, additional payments that you are making to the vendors or you are receiving from the customers that needs to be adjusted with the next bills.
Okay, but it shows any error in the
No,
system?
it will not show you any error.
Okay.
So tomorrow what we will do is we will talk about this scenario. So
Okay.
I'll show you in the system directly how you can make the additional payment that will be displayed as an advance payment.
Okay, okay.
Or we can take credit note or debit note we can process.
Yes. Even credit note, debit notes also can be created. So let's do it tomorrow. So what are the topics that we need to discuss tomorrow is first is payment term. Second is we need to talk about the partial and additional payments. Third is credit and debit memo. And then advance payments. These are the topics that we will discuss tomorrow. Okay, so before you come for tomorrow's session, if you want to utilize that particular session well, I will recommend all of you to practice whatever we have done today. Okay, so this is something which will not take you more than 1 or 2 hours of activity to create one invoice, to make one payment, but it will make you comfortable on using the SAP screens, and then you'll be able to correlate the topics that we are going to discuss tomorrow. Okay, anything else? Okay, if not, let's close this meeting and we will meet tomorrow again at same time. So we are going to continue this 9 a.m. IST. Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you, Vikram.
Bye.